Have you ever wondered what it would feel like to be calm consistently? Like not worrying about what you're going to say next, not worrying about what other people are thinking of you because you know you're in control of it and you know you've got it handled. Like not having to hold back what you want to say because you know how to say it without starting an argument. Not having to worry about the next time something goes wrong because you already know you're going to be able to handle it better than you used to. But here's the problem with that. A lot of people try and get to calm by holding everything in. They think like, and I did this as well, you think, I can't say that, that'll start an argument, right? But what actually happens is you haven't worked out how to say it honestly without it being snapping. Yeah, without snapping about it. There's a fine line, isn't there, between saying what you want to say and causing an argument by saying it, right? Let me explain what I mean. Like you can be thinking, I don't agree with that, whatever it might be, or you can think, I think that's wrong. But you think just saying, I think that's wrong is going to cause an argument, so you don't say it. But then what happens is you try and hold it in. And because you're holding it in, right, even though no one else knows this, you're holding it in, you're carrying that with you. Not just what happened that upset you in the first place, but also what you think about that no one else knows. And what happens is you end up carrying more and more because you keep doing this, thinking like, I can't afford to say that, it will cause a problem, it will cause an argument, it will start something. So what happens is you keep it in and you keep it in and you keep it in, and eventually what happens is you end up carrying more than any one person can carry at all. Not just you specifically, right, but anybody. And then what happens is you snap. Everything you've been holding in here just bursts its banks. And to the outside world, right, it's like, mate, what are you lashing out about? Like, why are you getting so angry about this? Because it's probably something small, like when you finally do snap. It's probably not something massive, right? Or maybe it is, who knows? But when you do, the reaction to that moment is not just the reaction to that moment. It's the reaction to that moment fueled by everything else you didn't say. Everything else you thought and felt and kept quiet. But here's the trap with doing that. Because when you do that, you don't just snap, right? Because it's not just about that one moment, is it? Because if you're anything like me, like when I snap, it's not, oh, I shouldn't have done that. It's everything else that comes with that. And you don't feel like you have any right to say, I feel really bad now because I snapped at people. And they're going, I'm the one you snapped at. Like, why are you telling me how you feel bad? You don't feel that you have any right to say, I'm now suffering for what I did too. Because it doesn't feel earned. You've literally just, in your own mind, you are the one that's just caused the situation to get worse. So, like, why do you get to feel bad about it? Why do you get to feel upset? Right? So you hold that in too. And what happens is that, oh, I shouldn't have done that moment, it brings shame, remorse, guilt, and like you carry all of that on top of all the other stuff you're already carrying, that like things you want to say you haven't said, and now you're carrying the remorse and the guilt of snapping in the first place. Because like the reason you hold it in the first place, let's be completely honest about something, shall we? The reason you hold it in, like we said at the start, is because you want to avoid things being worse for other people, right? Because you're doing it for the right reason, okay? But here is the trap with that, right? You hold it in because you think you're sparing other people. But the underlying truth that certainly it took me, oh God, it took me years, not just months, years, to realize this for myself. But like, you're trying to save yourself from being in a position where you might snap. And that's something that like, there's layers to this, because you're trying on the outside, and what you tell yourself is, I'm saving other people from it, right? I'm saving other people from the argument. I don't want to upset my partner, my colleague, my kids, my parents, whatever it might be, yeah? But you're saving yourself the impact of that as well, whether you realize it or not. Like, that's not me saying, oh, you all think like this. It's just, like, it's a fact. If they're not having the argument, neither are you. So you're not just saving them the argument, you're saving it from yourself as well. But here's the trap with that. Because when you do snap and you think, why did I have to say that? Why did I not just keep my mouth shut? Not because it's caused an argument and someone else is cross because you've said what you think, but because you snapped when you did it, when you said what you thought, right? And it's the snapping that you remember and that you like hold here, yeah? Because it's not, oh, they finally got, I finally said the right thing and da 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 da. You might feel like in the moment that passes, and it passes every time, okay? Because then what happens is you think, I can't do it. I can't do it. I tried staying calm, like I did all the right things, I said the right things, I put on the smile, I played along, but I can't do it. The trap we fall into here, and that I fell into for so long, right, is thinking like that's how to stay calm. Just presenting as calm is enough. And it's not. It's not, because then what's happening is you're taking everything you want to say, right, and holding that, and everything you're feeling as a result of when you do snap and holding that, that's too much. Yeah, you can't hold all of that and just stay calm all the time. That's not realistic. There's a part where you recognize that you can't hold it all. Okay, there's a moment where that happens, and that moment is the I can't do it moment. But it's not that you can't do it. It's that you're caught in the loop. Here is one line, one sentence, right, that perfectly sums up the loop. Okay, you're trying to hold an endless amount with a limited amount of patience. Here's the other part of that, right? Here's the deeper layer of that loop, okay? And this is one of those things where you don't see it when you're in it, okay? And I'm speaking from experience with this, okay? When you try to stay calm all the time, it stops you being honest, right? And we covered that already, right? We said about that already. But like I said, you stay quiet to keep the peace. You're protecting yourself. You're controlling what you say, right? You're very strict. Like, I'm not saying that. That will cause an argument, or that will cause a problem. You don't just want to like cause the problem, but you don't want to be blamed as the reason why that problem existed. You don't want to be labeled as the cause of that problem. Not just by yourself, by other people as well, right? But here's what happens when you don't, but like when you're not open with people, when you're not honest with people, when you don't say, I'm struggling with this because I actually think this, right? You cut part of yourself off from everybody that's not you. You cut part of yourself. It could be 5%, it could be 10%, it could be 20%, it could be 50% of you. However much of you're holding back, yeah? However much of you're not saying, I think this, I feel this. Personally, I don't agree. I would do this instead, right? Every time you don't do that, that's part of yourself you are deliberately repressing and keeping from other people. And the problem is then what happens is people only see part of you, right? You carry both what people see and what they don't, and everything else you've already talked about, and the weight only gets worse. The actual weight of what you're carrying only gets heavier with time, because holding it back once it's a bit frustrating. It can be a bit annoying, but when you've held it back like 20 times, 50 times, 100 times, every time you hold it back, that weight that you're holding, that no one else even not just sees, they don't even know about it, because you're hiding it from them. You're keeping it from them for for their benefit, for the greater good of everybody around you. But every time you do, the weight gets heavier. Okay? The result of that, right, is that you end up feeling alone even when you're with all the people you care about. Like, you could be at like a barbecue, or like a birthday party, or a family gathering, whatever it might be, and you're surrounded by all the people you care about. And there's this part of you, and it's not necessarily the overriding part. For some people it is, but for some people it's not. There's part of you that's just like, they don't know me properly. There's a day when you just go, half the people here don't really know me properly, because they're like, you don't see them all the time and that. But the people in your inner circle, they don't know you properly either. And when you realize that, you end up feeling really isolated, and like you're cut off from all of them. But here's the problem. Here's why it's a trap, right? Now, because you've started doing it already. You've already started holding it all back. So what are you supposed to do now? You can't just go, here's, the last 6 months of unrepressed things I wish I'd said. Right? You can't, there's no way of doing that. Because the moments where you held everything back, chances are they've forgotten those moments, right? An opportunity came up for you to be honest about something, like say how you felt, yeah? Take that weight off, calmly put it in the conversation, put it into the moment. You didn't do that. Most people have forgotten that moment happened because it didn't escalate. So because it didn't escalate and it stayed calm, it was not like it wasn't worth remembering, but because it didn't trigger some emotional response in the other person, in the other people in the room, in the moment, most people have just gone, oh, I kind of remember that, but they don't remember it the way you do, because they didn't hold what they were feeling back to protect everybody else the way you did. That's not saying they're bad people. Not slightly. But you're doing it to protect them. But to protect yourself. And then when the day comes and you think, I know these people properly, but these people don't know me properly because I keep part of it to myself, you do end up feeling alone. Here's something I wish somebody had said to me when I was like, not even in that state, but like going in that direction towards that feeling. If they don't know all of you, they can't support all of you. There's real depth to that. If they don't know all of you, they can't support all of you. And I'm not saying like they can't listen to everything you've got to say. They can't listen, they can't be able to pat you on the shoulder every 5 minutes. I don't mean that kind of support. If they don't know you properly, if you're not honest with people about how you're feeling and how you're doing and what you think, they don't know about it. So, and like, I have a thing I say all the time, in like, off of YouTube, in my real life, right? I say this all the time. If you have a problem, tell me. If you don't tell me, I can't help. It's exactly this. It's the same principle. But and I am the biggest hypocrite for that. I am, because I've spent years and years and years holding everything back, people pleasing, right? Is I think the proper name for it. But like I've spent years holding everything in, okay? And then it finally hit me. It's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this. And when you get to that point, there's two ways it goes. It's either I can't do this and it breaks you, or you're like, I can't do this. I need to change something, right? And the thing is with that, like, to understand properly, like to get to that point and to know what that feels like, you have to one extent or another, be the kind of person that cares more about other people than you do about yourself. So nobody who's listening to this now who feels like that, no one here walked into this path for the wrong reason. But it's the belief that we're doing it for the right reason is why it's so easy to fall into this loop. Because like when you think to yourself, like, I'm doing the right thing by holding it in, I'm protecting the people I care about from me. I'm protecting the people I care about from the harm or the damage or the arguments that might come from what I say. That starts with all the best intentions. It starts with, I am doing the right thing for the people I care about. It's worth not saying it to keep them happy. And like, there's a real issue at hand with that, because yes, trying to do the right thing with people you care about is admirable, and like, I respect you for that, I do, but it's not sustainable. Because the thing is, right, there's another part of this. There's the what they see element of this, right? You carry everything, they see nothing, then you explode. And because you're hiding 5%, 10%, 20%, 50% of you, right? When you do then snap, when everything you're holding bursts its banks, the people around you fill in that missing 5, 10, 20, 50% with an assumption. They're just like, Jesus, you know, what's wrong with this guy? He was fine the other day. He was fine earlier on. He was fine 5 minutes ago. So they're left wondering why you snapped. And they're going to assume, like, not horrible, like, oh, you know, this person, obviously they can't handle this, that, and the other, right? That's not where people go with this. But, like, they don't know. So the brain's natural response when that happens, when you don't know, is you try and fill in the gap. You try and make sense of it. But they don't have the full picture. They don't have the full story. They don't have your full story, your full picture. They don't have all of you to understand. They only have the bits you showed them. And when that gap, right, how much of you it is that you're choosing to keep back because you're protecting other people, however big that gap is, other people will try and fill that gap by trying to connect the dots, trying to work out why you snapped. Because even if it's just like, even if when I say you snap, I don't mean like big 30-minute rant. It doesn't have to be a big 30-minute rant. You might just like, I don't know, it could be something really small, right? Like running out of like sugar, say for instance, right? You go to make a cup of tea and you're at home. You run out of sugar and like your partner or your parents or your sibling or whatever, or you might be at work and your colleague's like, I thought you were getting that this week. And you're just like, why is it always down to me? And that's it, right? And that's all you say. But because you've held everything back, when that happens, the people around you don't see what you've been holding. It's invisible weight that only you feel. And then when you do snap, they're left going, where's that come from? Yeah, why have you suddenly had a go at me? It's a hard thing to get out of, but here's the way I look at it now, right? The way I reframed it for myself. You feel like you're doing the right thing by holding it back, but as with anything, right, and this is anything you've ever learned, right? Even walking, even like riding your bike, right? Learning to speak, all of these things. The one thing that must always happen is repetition. So it's not like, I'm not saying go and tell the people that you care about the stuff you're holding in because it'll make you feel better, because it won't, right? Not straight away, because you haven't learned to like do that properly yet. You haven't learned to say, do you know what, I'm actually really fed up with blank, but there's time, yeah? And the earlier you think, I want to let these people in, not because I'm comfortable sharing all of this, but because I want the people I care about to know me properly. When you let them into that, for that reason, it is a bit difficult at first, and you might get a bit emotional and a bit upset, and you might snap a little bit. But it's coming from the right place. It's coming from the place of somebody who just wants to be seen properly, who just wants to be able to say what they think, how they're feeling, without being judged for it, without being rejected for it. And this is getting a bit deep, I apologise. It wasn't supposed to be as deep as this, but like, it's the truth, you know? And I feel like a lot of people don't say these things, and to an extent it kind of grates me a little bit that more people don't talk about this, because like, we all feel it, yeah? It's nothing like wrong or weird or like abnormal. These are normal things to feel and to worry about, and we handle that by just holding it back, because if we don't say the things that we think might cause an argument or we think might upset somebody else, we never put ourselves in the line of fire for being rejected by that person. We never end up like going down in somebody's estimation, you know? But when I started to feel like this, yeah, and all of this started to hit home properly, I realised something, and this is what I want to share with you now. If you change nothing, what's happening will repeat itself again. If you don't think, I don't want to be in this loop anymore, and you stay where you are and you keep doing the same things, if you keep holding it in, you will snap again. Like, that's not me saying you're not strong enough to hold it all. But if you're like me, like, and I did this for years, it took more time and more mistakes, and it cost me more than I am like prepared to admit, right? It took far too long. But the cost it took out of me then, I still feel it now, and I still carry that with me now. And that is what I'm trying to save you, is that cost. Like, the things I wish I hadn't said, the mistakes I can't take back, the damage I've already done, I can't take any of that back. I don't want you to feel like this. When you realize this is a loop, a pattern that repeats itself, you realize something. Like I say, if you don't change anything, if nothing changes, it just keeps repeating. Not because you're doing anything like wrong, but because, as I said at the start, you're carrying an endless amount of weight on a finite amount of patience. And there was a moment, right, where I realized that there is a choice. And the choice isn't say everything at once. Because no one's good at that to start with, right? You can't, like, safely, if you can, all power to you, by the way, right? But people like me, I can't do that, right? If you can just say, here's everything I've never not said, and stay calm and not cause an argument, more power to you, right? But there's a choice. And this is what I realized when I saw this loop for what it was. The choice is this. You can stay in that reactive loop, right? Like, something happens, you hold it in, it eats away at you. You start to resent, like, other people because you didn't say something. Sometimes that happens as well, right? And then it builds and it builds and it builds, and eventually you snap, right? Everything comes out, right? Not everything you've ever held back, but everything that you wish you'd said, or things you did hold back, like, they fuel the reaction you have, okay? That's one choice. Here's the other one, okay? You can take a moment, which sounds like some of the most, but hear me out. You can take a moment. Everybody watching this can choose this moment, okay? It doesn't have to be 10 minutes long. It doesn't have to be half an hour long. It doesn't have to be 5 minutes long. It can be as long or as little as you have or need, or both, right? If you have half an hour and you need half an hour, take half an hour. If you've got 5 minutes but you need 2 minutes, take 2 minutes, and 5's there if you need it, right? But you can take a moment, and all you're trying to do in that moment is just bring that feeling of, like, I am going to lose it in a minute. Just bring it down one notch, okay? Because if you think about, like, an escalating pattern before you snap, you start off and you're fine, and then it's like, this is kind of annoying. This is actually starting to get on my nerves now. If I don't, say something in a minute, or something doesn't change, like, I'm going to lose my temper. And then you're like, I am, like, ready to snap now. That moment, all you're doing is trying to take one step back. Yeah? Just come down one rung. Don't force yourself or press yourself to come all the way back to being calm again straight away, because it doesn't happen. It doesn't. And trying to expect that of yourself is not realistic at the start. Over time, right? If you choose to keep taking these moments, you go from 1 step back to 2 steps back. Not every time, but you find out, oh, 2 steps, not 1. Cool. But repetition, right? If you keep trying to like take a moment and just it can just be a breath. You can just, when like you've had that moment, we've all had this moment, right? Where something is happening, you just go like that proper controlled, like deep breath where you're like, and all you can hear in your head is like, I'm gonna lose it. But that breath is a moment. And as long as you try to keep taking those moments, every time you do, even if you feel 1% better for it, that's something. And actually, that's enough reason to do it again. If you haven't done this before, this will feel like alien territory to you. Because I hadn't done it before, and it sure as hell did to me. But this is one of those things where the whole point is you don't have to get it perfect. You don't have to stay calm all of the time. It's not realistic. Nobody is calm all the time. Yeah? And if they tell you they are, by the way, they're lying to you. Right? Nobody is calm all the time. All you're doing in that moment is just trying to come back a bit. That's all. Right? Even if it is only a little bit. Even if it is just for a moment. You're just trying to come back a bit, because that moment where you try and you come back just a little bit, that is the moment the loop starts to break. That is the moment where staying calm consistently starts. You don't have to get this. Do you know what, right? Before we close this video out, right, I just want to say a few things to you, okay? You don't have to get this right straight away. Because I didn't. I'll tell you that now, I did not get this right straight away. It took me a lot of attempts to get this right. And then, it took me even more attempts before I was able to sit down and say all these things to you. Okay? You don't have to get this right straight away. You don't have to fix everything. Because adding the pressure of undoing all the times you've snapped before now is not realistic. It doesn't happen. What you can do is make a choice that you don't want to be responsible for stuff like that anymore. That's how choosing to take a moment starts, and you go, I don't want to be like this anymore. Just one moment. It doesn't have to be right every time. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to be honest about where you are, even if you're just being honest with yourself. Because sometimes, and again, not many people say this either, but if you're not being honest with yourself, you're like, I'll be fine. I honestly, that'll be on my headstone somewhere. Oh, I'll be fine. Just be honest about where you are in that moment, or in this season of life, right? If you're struggling and you can admit that to yourself, that's massive. That's a massive start. That's a massive turning point, because then it's like, I am struggling. Yes, I'm staying quiet. Yes, I'm trying to stay calm, but I am struggling to do it. Not because you're weak, not because you're broken, because you are a human being and you are trying to carry everything, and nobody is built for that. No one person is built for that. Okay? Just be honest about where you are and make one choice that feels different. The thing is, right, it's not straightforward doing this, and it will, like I say, it will feel off to start with. But choosing a moment, choosing to take a moment, when you do that, that is where that is the start of staying calm consistently. That is the first step to staying calm consistently. And if you are ready to take that step, then I am rooting for you every single step of the way. Every single one. Because doing the right thing for the right people, to the people you care about, is courageous, and it's admirable, and it's right. But doing that and keeping yourself on an even keel, that is what staying calm consistently feels like.